there. It's DB Frick. Welcome back to America. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope everybody's well and with their families and stuffed and filled to the brim with whatever people eat now. You know, whatever you're celebrating, whether it be Indigenous Peoples Day or
Italian Day, Thanksgiving.
And of course, as always, we have Millie Micheals with us. Millie, thanks for coming down again.
Hello there.
Of course, as you know, season 5, episode 2.
Woo!
A lot coming at you this episode. As we know, we're doing the show a little differently, and we're, posting these at different times of day, different segments, because everyone's attention span is shorter than I'd hope. I wish we could get through a whole hour with everybody. But how are you doing, Millie? How's everything?
I'm doing well, Dan. I'm enjoying my family. I love Thanksgiving.
Look at that.
It just makes me feel so great and
That's
warm
great.
inside.
Yeah, I don't really have. I have some chopped turkey. That's all I got.
That's okay.
It's something though. That's how I celebrate. I go places and I'm like, here, just put this out on the dais.
Yes, you could bring that to my house any year.
Okay.
I would make something out of it for you.
That sounds threatening, but I appreciate the offer. What do you do for Thanksgiving, Millie? What are your Thanksgivings like? You're Italian, so it must be very, very traditional.
Yes, very traditional, just like back in the day with the Pilgrims and the Italians. We celebrate 3 days of festivities of eating, and we make lasagna. We like to celebrate Princess Pastina, who created the what is that called? That corn stuff again. What's that corn stuff? They're not answering me. Freaking people.
I'm glad we keep a professional level on this show. I love that. No, it's fine. I love it.
Yeah, it's called, but I forgot the name of it, but they make macaroni out of that, and so anyway, so we eat, and I roast nuts, and we try not to kick anybody out of the house for drinking too much, because that happens usually on the second day.
We kick people out for not drinking enough. Oh. Like if you haven't drank enough by hour 6, it's like, get out of here. You got to go.
Well, maybe I could send Aunt Margie over to Dan's house. He likes to have people drink.
Yeah, sure. Just bring it on. But bring the drink too.
Pack her up. Get her out of here.
Bring some of that 18-year-old Glenlivet, and we'll be friends for good.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
My Thanksgiving will be very simple. Okay. Mom, brother, my niece sitting around a table. Maybe watching some football. I'll try to get everyone to play a little Scrabble, maybe. But the only problem is I'm the only one of the 4 who can read. So that's, at least.
Oh, you could win. Then you could win. I want to play then, if they can.
Should come over, play Scrabble.
Okay. That sounds good to me. I'll probably Uber because I do drink.
Whoever comes to the last 2 players, though, they have to wrestle. After the game is over, there's a wrestling match between whoever wins.
Well, my Aunt Margie's very good at that game, so.
Oh, wrestling? They call it wrestling. Thanksgiving, always a lot of fun. My favorite story from Thanksgiving is one Thanksgiving when I was probably about 10. The turkey comes out. We're at my house, and my grandparents are over, and all their children are over, and children's children. There's about 15, 20 people here. And the turkey comes out, and the butt of the turkey is facing my grandfather. And he thought that was someone trying to give him a message, like someone was trying to say, you're an ass. So he got really mad and stormed out. That's my favorite Thanksgiving memory.
Wow, that's kind of like Lou Labrotsky or whatever on Mario Puzo's, what's that show?
I don't watch that, the Mafia show. I haven't watched.
Yeah. This is Sign. The fish.
Isn't that
sleeping with the fish?
Yes.
The ass of the turkey. You're an ass.
I would sleep with the fish. I'm just happy to get sleep, truly. So if you get to sleep with the fish, that's what I have to do.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
What is your favorite meal? What's your favorite part of the meal for Thanksgiving? Would you like?
I like the whole thing. I really do. But I like the turkey neck.
Oh. Ew. I like the combination of sweet potatoes, mashed potatoes, stuffing, and cranberry sauce.
And what about corn?
And corn, I like corn too. Put some corn in there, mix the corn up. Yeah, sure. I like that all in a trough. I want that in a ball, like a hard ball that I can just scoop out of.
I'm sure that you can get that at Denny's.
They probably do make something that's disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm sure now we're going to lose Denny's as some of our advertising.
Oh, no, not again.
So, on our show this week, we got a couple of great people. First, we have Mesa Cronehouse, who is a friend of mine from out in LA. We've met her at UCLA, and we worked together a little bit, but she was working with Drew Lynch, who came in second at Last Comic Standing. I think it was last go. And the other one is Cesar Millan, Milan. I said it wrong in the other interview too.
Milian.
I'm not very good with accented things. So the dog whisperer, and so she's worked with two kind of iconic people. She's and it's an interesting conversation with her.
What did she do with Caesar?
Social media consulting and some sketch stuff with both of them, and yeah, they're both.
Is that why he got divorced?
I don't know. I didn't bring that up.
Okay.
Might be awkward that you brought that up here. I mean, if that's true.
I'm only kidding. No. He got divorced for probably dog reasons.
Oh, you think he was sleeping with one of the dogs?
I do.
Yeah, I kind of got that, and I wanted to ask questions about that to her, but I didn't want to put her in any
Yeah.
awkward. So Mesa's we talked to her for about 20 minutes, and then we talked with Jeff Astrof, who I met like 20 years ago. He was a writer for Friends. He created Veronica's Closet. He he created Trial and Error, which was just on television for a couple of years, John Lithgow. And now in March, he has a show coming out called Shining Vale, which is a comedy horror about a dysfunctional family that moves into a haunted house.
Oh.
Starring Greg Kinnear and Courteney Cox.
That sounds great.
And Mira Sorvino. It's kind of like The Shining, but funny. And Courteney Cox is the character that's being sort of haunted. And they come out in March. Yeah.
Wow. I look forward to that.
Yeah, I think it could be really fun and interesting.
Yes.
So we talked to him, and that's what we have this week. And we also putting in there a little in the frick of the night. So that will
love frick in the night.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So I really appreciate everybody watching today. Millie, thanks for coming.
Yes. Dan, are you celebrating Black Friday? Are you doing can I say that? Can I talk about Black Friday?
Yeah, you can say Black Friday.
I like to wear black.
I like to wear black all the time. I try not to go to events where there are a lot of lines. I try not to put myself in positions where I have to stand on lines a lot. And I think I heard someone who was very wealthy talk about the difference between being poor and being wealthy. And they said being wealthy means you don't have to wait for things.
Oh, that's lovely. That's because they have someone else doing it for them.
Right, generally. Or they just don't have to wait on the line because they're getting it delivered. Or they're having someone do it for them in some fashion. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind being online at home.
Yeah, I don't either. We're online right now at home.
Oh, yeah, I don't mind.
Speaking of that, so is everyone there, and you probably have to go to the bathroom now. So check out our interviews with Mesa Cronehouse and Jeff Astrof, and we'll be dropping those this week along with In the Frick of the Night, which is a funny story about Mother's Day.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, but happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Millie.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Dan, happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you, Dan.
I'm thankful for you, Millie.
I'm thankful for everybody except Aunt Margie. You get ready. I'm taking you to dance.
Make Aunt Margie dance. That's great.
No, she's going to dance. Dance. She's coming to your house. I'm sorry, DB.
No, it's fine.
She's coming to your house.
Sometimes I forget who I am. I get lost in myself. Welcome back to America with H.R. Lovecraft. Hey there, everybody. Thanks for checking out. Welcome back to America Tonight. I am DB Frick, still, despite the government's best efforts. I have someone, a very, very funny person tonight. Someone I've known for probably about over 10 years now, for about 10 years, maybe 9, 10, doesn't really matter. We'll round the number to 10. I first met this young lady at UCLA, where she was a student, and I was working there. And then with a group of people, we lived together in Burbank, and she's gone really far in the last few years. Very funny lady. She is a social media consultant. She's worked for Drew Lynch, the comedian, and Cesar Millan. I probably pronounced that wrong. The dog whisperer. Ladies and gentlemen, Mesa Cronhouse. Come on down.
Hi.
So awesome to have you on the show tonight. It's been way too long, and your awesome presence could be used more often in the world. I think the world needs you. The world needs you right now, Mesa.
That's what I've been trying to convince the world of this, but you'd be surprised.
That's how you should go into all your job interviews. The world needs me.
Yeah. Actually, if you could, because it was such a lovely introduction, if you wouldn't mind, are you available to do that, to just give my intro anytime, interviews, just walking into parties, social gatherings, family get-togethers? Are you available this Thanksgiving, actually?
Yes, I actually make a lot of money doing that. I used to play a millionaire at parties for many years.
Oh.
Yeah, I would be hired to pretend to be a millionaire at parties. That was a lot of fun. You have a great energy about you, and you're incredibly funny. Where did that start? Where do you feel like that need to be on stage, or to be in front of people, not necessarily on stage, but in front of people to make them laugh? When did you realize you had a talent for it? What inspired it? That's 9 questions. I hope you can get them all.
It's so many. Yeah, where to begin? My goodness. No, I don't know that I ever, it was about being on stage. I think the funny came from just trauma, as it does.
Okay.
And I think that I realized that I should be doing this around the same time that I realized there was really nothing else I was good at and nothing else I would work at. So,
okay.
Yeah. But it came very naturally, I think.
Did you, well, when you were in your formidable years, is that what they say?
They were formidable. Formative, maybe?
Informative. You grew up in the States, correct? Yeah,
I did.
In the United States. You have I think we were just talking, you have a Persian background, as you were talking about your necklace before we started tonight. And I have a great memory of when we were in Burbank. Your mom mailed you something in a box that took a long time to get there and was severely beaten up by the time that it got there. And I'm trying to remember what was in it, but I remember it was just like great stuff, but it looked like so beaten up that it was like you might be afraid to open it. Like, what's inside that? That's
right.
But it was nothing but great gifts for you. But anyway, that was one of my
interesting. It's so funny. I don't even remember it. I imagine that she probably sent like a care package, I think, like probably to share so that I could make friends. Right. It sounds like something she'd do, like food and stuff.
Of course.
I think that's what it, but I don't remember this. It's amazing you do.
Yeah, no, I always remember the little thing. I also remember the place was so filthy. You cleaned absolutely every single inch of the place with white vinegar.
Yes.
I'm sure you remember.
Yes, I do, because, well, I was so lucky to be living there for free, and it was, I think, 6 of us, right, in a 1-bedroom apartment?
It was 12. Yeah, I think it was 12 of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Us and all our personalities.
I have a memory of getting into, for a while, my bed was just a bunch of sofa pillows on the ground.
Right.
I remember getting into bed one night, and about 5 minutes after I got into bed, someone else from a gathering just like decided to lie down on the bed too, and like freaked us out. Like I think this was the first time because we lived there on 2 occasions, but it was one of the scariest moments of my life. You've never had someone random just get into bed with you? It's weird, strange.
Yeah, boy. I'm usually the one that just cops it.
Fair enough.
I like to get ahead of it, spook them first.
Yeah, you have to. You have to beat them to the punch. You've
Yeah.
worked with a couple of formidable people in the recent years. Comedian Drew Lynch, who I believe won, or at least came in the top 3 of set number 2. And he's always getting funnier. I really like him a lot now. Less so 10 years ago, but he's particularly funny. He's grown on me. How did that come about? That relationship, that job?
Yeah, no, he's very funny, and nobody works harder than Drew. It's funny because so Drew and I met at an acting class. As you know, I'm an actor, and we met before Drew Lynch was Drew Lynch. He was in this acting class that I was taking in LA, and we had become friends. And then he went on America's Got Talent, and we used to watch him when he was on the show, and we were all rooting for him. And then after the show, he had kind of blown up, and I just remember one time I was working with him or hanging out with him, and he was saying how work was kind of getting away from him, and he was thinking about hiring an assistant. And at the time, I worked for a bakery delivering baked goods to craft services. And I said, well, I got some time if you want. I'm pretty good at organizing stuff, and I can help you out just until you find someone. And so I sort of stumbled into it, and a month went by, and he was like, you're actually really good at this. Can I maybe keep you? Can you keep doing this? And I was like, yes, but you definitely have to pay me because this is a lot of work.
Right, okay.
And that's how it happened. Yeah. Then I ended up working for him for 3 years.
That was
a great experience.
I like the way that happened. And then you went from that to working for Caesar Milan.
Milan.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I want to say, I like saying IAN words.
Million.
Yeah, I think there's Christina Milian was one of them. But that's not what is important right now. What's important right now is Dog Whisperer. And you worked with him for a while too. I mean, two iconic people. That's two iconic people in media. They both are.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up watching Caesar on TV, watching The Dog Whisperer. So that was a crazy experience. And I met Caesar working with Drew. They had done a vlog together. And once I stopped working with Drew, I was an assistant for another creator on YouTube. Her name's Molly Burke. She's a blind fashion and beauty content creator. But I was tired of being an assistant, and really I was looking to do something else because it's a really rewarding job, but it's also a really draining job. And when you're a personal assistant, it's kind of 24/7. So yeah.
And so how long did you do that?
Well, I worked for Drew for 3 years. I worked for Molly for just 1 year. And at the time that I was working for Molly, I was trying to start my own business doing the social media consulting because I wanted something that I was, I guess, good at, that I could make my own hours. And after I had worked with Drew, because I did everything for Drew, I edited his videos, shot the videos, posted the videos. We did all of it together, he and I. And so a lot of people would reach out to me and ask, how do you do this for Drew, and can you do this for me? And because his channel grew so much in those 3 years. And one of the people that reached out was someone on Caesar's team. And so once I had the time, I wasn't doing all of that. You know, at the time, Molly had her own kind of team, so I was a little less involved. I started to do the consulting for Caesar, and I started his YouTube channel. I worked with his videographer, a guy named Peter, and sort of helped train them and just get Caesar started, because Caesar has all of the talent in the world and he's interesting and people want to watch his content, but he just didn't have the infrastructure, I guess, in place. Like, he never joined social media because he was a TV star.
Right.
So it was, I think, a thing where at the time they never really thought they would need it. And then they realized, oh, shoot, actually, we're getting left behind.
Did you learn any tricks about dealing with dogs?
I learned so many. It's the coolest thing, because I never grew up with dogs. And I've worked with now, Drew has a service dog named Stella. Molly, who's blind, had a guide dog named Gallop. And then Caesar all works with dogs. So dogs have sort of followed me around a lot.
That's funny.
And I learned so much from Caesar about dogs. It's amazing. He is a wizard.
Like any tricks to, I had a dog in my yard last night. I came home from work,
okay.
And there was the dog ran away and was in the yard and was really scared in the backyard. It was dark. There was no light back there either in that area, that he was sort of cowering in the back, and we brought him out some food. And when we'd get close, he would growl. But we ended up calling the police, and the police ended up coming and taking the dog. But sadly, my first thought was, like, that dog's doomed. They just put it, that dog's not, like, if they don't find that dog's owner, then it's doomed. And I wanted to know if you knew of a place that might kidnap the dog for me and place it someplace to be loved. You find
it
that.
Sounds like a job for you. It sounds like you should do that. And
Okay.
if you want it, we can quit rolling the cameras, and we'll come up with a strategy, you and I, and I'll just kind of talk you through it.
Right.
Like, we'll just nab him.
Right, Mission Impossible sort of thing. No, I would have to.
Yeah.
I would have to hide the dog, like Annie at where I live.
Yes.
So I don't know if I could do that every day. That's a lot of stress.
Wait, look, it's worth it. This is the dog's life we're talking about. I mean, at the very least, we can put him in a car and try and drive him across state lines, get him somewhere where there's like a nice yard he can run around in. Someone with a yard.
You're right. I'm being selfish. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Come on, we can do this. We can do this, Dan.
No, I believe that. I'm not surprised that you would do good at social media consulting, because you would make anyone funnier. You could easily make anyone, I think. And
I really make people shine by setting the bar low, I've found.
There's actually probably some math in doing it that way. There's probably, like, going into a meeting and not giving them anything. Maybe that'll keep the job for someone. Like, look at the producers in the movies, in the musical. The producers, their show needs to fail for them to make money.
Yeah, you can make more money with a flop than with a hit.
Right. Like
no. I give away a lot for free. I always tell people if they want my opinion, I always give consultations to people for free, and then if they want to hire me after that, then they're welcome to hire me. And I'd say it's about, like, I don't know, like a half of the people, they just kind of want the free thing, and then they kind of try to do it on their own. And then the other half hire me, which is great because I have plenty of clients. So it works out well.
You're also blowing up a little bit on TikTok. You have quite a bit of viewers. I mean, that's
you.
I see some of your posts have 10 to 15,000 views. That's a lot. I don't think I've ever gotten anything near that. No way. Maybe there's a video on YouTube that I posted like 15 years ago that has maybe half that. That's probably, but that's, you do great pieces, and they're all on you. And one of the more popular ones was mixing your styles.
Yeah.
And sort of brought a goth, and I guess it was a sundress.
Yeah.
And it was a great look. It was a really interesting, so it got a lot of views. But you're sort of, you came up a little bit in the sketch world. Like you did some sketches with Drew. I believe you did some.
Yeah.
Are you using that?
I don't know if they're still around on YouTube, but so we did a few.
Oh, they have to be. Nothing ever goes away on the internet. I've found that all stays forever. Even if you try, like this is an aside. I've done a lot of reviews where I've written about shows, and some of those shows were stand-up comedy shows, and one of them had a woman, I won't say her name now, but I posted a picture, and it's a nice picture of her, but she hates it. And now, because I posted it on that show, it's always the first picture that shows up online.
Oh, no.
And there's no way to take it off. There's no way to take it off of Google. You could take it off of the site that, anyway, it's just an example of how much I screw up. So what else is in store for you? Do you write at all? Are you writing anything?
You know, I write because it's one of those things it feels like these days is what you have to do. Even with TikTok, I would much rather, TikTok I do just for fun, just to see like, I wonder if this anything. Well, let's see. But really it's anything I do, all I want to be is an actor. That's all I want, is for someone to write a script and put the camera on me and I do my job. That's all I want in this world. And it's like, that's a dying thing.
What kind of movie would you want to do? What kind of
anything?
Okay.
At this point, anything. But no, I love Aaron Sorkin. I would love to be in like something that Aaron Sorkin does. I'd love to be in like whatever, Wes Anderson, those kinds of things.
Sure.
But really anything. But yeah, these days they want you to be a writer and a director and a producer and to already have a following and to have all these things. And I do those things because I have to. I don't know that I'm particularly good at them, and I would much rather not.
Sure, we are forced to know so many things. This show has forced me to learn how to edit, and I wanted to do it for years.
Yes. Oh.
And it's like it's a really important, I've done it for other people already. Like I've done bits and things. So it's an important piece. Mesa.
It is.
What are you going to do with the rest of your life? I sound like, do I sound like your mom? Does that sound like a mom?
It does. I got chills actually. Whew.
I wasn't trying to. I don't know.
Did she put you up to this? Is that why you had me on? Because I thought it was fishy.
That would be so awesome. I would love it if she was watching from somewhere right now.
Oh, God.
And
somehow I feel she's always watching. She's not dead, but I just think that she's always watching.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you told the audience that she's not dead. I was aware that she's not dead, though.
I know you are, yeah. I figured for anyone else.
Yeah, and it's good thing.
I say, I feel she's always here with us. It's not a dead thing. It's that she just...
Has she ever come out to LA? Has she ever...
She has a couple times, yeah.
Okay, is that like a fish out of water?
My dad staunchly refuses to. He's from New York, and he thinks because of that, he has something ingrained in his DNA that's just, I can't go to LA.
It's very... Without I'm not making a comparison here, but Woody Allen was like that too. Hated LA.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's yeah.
I don't hate LA, but I definitely miss it more during the coming monsoon months.
Mm.
But you didn't grow up in New York. You said your father was from New York, but you didn't. You grew up in North Carolina.
Correct. like the United Nations, really.
Is that a gang sign? Was that a gang thing that you just threw?
Yeah, it's my own gang. I'm hoping it'll catch on.
I like it. It's very Wonder Woman, which I would imagine
Yeah.
you must have dressed up like Wonder Woman for Halloween at some point.
I haven't. I get the comparison a lot. I wish, one of the studios would see it in me. No offense to Gal over there, But she's crushing it. She can, if she wants to take a back seat for a few movies, I'm available.
Right. If you saw the sequel to Wonder Woman, she might have to. The sequel to Wonder Woman was not great. I don't know. Maybe they rushed it.
Oh no.
I also, have you seen any movies recently in our last couple of minutes here in this? Have you seen any?
I saw Red Notice.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
It's a Ryan Reynolds, The Rock.
Yeah. No,
and it was a lot of fun. It was, I think, exactly what you would expect from Ryan Reynolds and The Rock. Just it was a good time.
I'm sure there were a lot of funny jokes. I think Ryan Reynolds has some of the best timing in the history of film and television. He really is one of the funniest. It's sometimes the little one note, but I still find it funny, even though it's that one note. Deadpool.
He hits the one note perfectly.
He hits the one note perfectly. He always did, even when he was the two guys and the pizza place. Or was that two guys and a girl at a pizza place? They changed the title halfway through the show. They did.
Oh.
So it was like two guys and a girl. Then it was two guys and a girl at a pizza place, and then a guy. Anyway, doesn't matter. I really appreciate that you came down and chatted with me today. This has been a fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wait, before we go, we have to talk about Thanksgiving. Right, Thanksgiving is coming.
Okay.
Do you celebrate Thanksgiving?
It is.
Do you celebrate
Indigenous? We do. All of it. My family are pretty much all immigrants, so we do it as to blend in. For the same reason that we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate Thanksgiving, and it's so that we blend.
There's no attention. You didn't bring any attention to yourselves, right?
Right.
I can understand that. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
We're having a big Thanksgiving this year. My mom said there's going to be 14 people, which I'm very against. Not because of COVID, but because it's just, that's so many people, regardless. Forget the pandemic. It's, right. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Do more than 9?
I would rather, I very rarely, I live alone in LA. I don't do more than 1 usually. The fact that I'm even around my family at all is a big step for me.
Okay.
Which there's 4 of us total in the immediate. But somehow now it's 14. I don't know where these other people are coming from with their hands out, but
with their hands out.
Yeah.
Give us.
We're going to take all my leftovers. I know that it's not in the spirit of Thanksgiving, but again, we're only celebrating it for show. And the best part of Thanksgiving is the leftovers after. They're going to be gone with 14 people.
Right. You're right. You're right. I actually had a party go from 8 people to 4 people. So now I was having it catered because I don't want to clean anything up. I'm tired of cleaning.
That's smart.
I'm tired. I'd rather spend money than clean up anymore. I'm at that point in my life where I don't want to rake the leaves anymore. I don't want to rake the leaves. I'm going to get someone else to do them. But then when I get to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it myself. And then I do it myself. Mesa, you rock. You're the best. It's
Likewise.
I love that we chatted. I look forward to chatting again. You're a fun spirit and a great presence. And I wish you all the best in this dog-eat-dog world. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Mesa Kronhaus and her very, very shiny jewelry. We'll be back right after this with more Welcome Back to America, or not. This might be the closing segment. We decide that afterwards. So might edit all that out. Oh my God, she disappeared.
I accidentally hit something. I didn't mean to.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us on In the Frick of the Night, our weekly segment where I delve into failures throughout my 44 years. Our first story starts when I was 5. It was Mother's Day, so the family wanted to go out to eat. I wasn't feeling too well. I told my mother this, and we went anyway. We had our meal. I had the usual burger and fries that I forced down my gullet, so to speak. It was around the end of the meal that I started feeling not so good. A little worse. Head, stomach, everything was going. It was very crowded in the diner this night, and we were sitting right next to a young mother who must have just had a baby, and she was pregnant too. And we were within, 5 inches of her as they moved the tables closer because there were so many people attending. I started feeling sicker and sicker until I threw up on the poor pregnant lady and her baby. That's actually 3 people because she was pregnant, so that's 3 people I vomited on. That was the first time. Those people were so mad. The second time was in 4th grade. I was at St. Martha's in Uniondale, and I would often go to the nurse to get out of class. So Mrs. Gordon was hip to this, and when I told her I wasn't feeling well, she was quick to say no when I asked to go to the nurse. Now we were in a Catholic school, and all the girls sat on one side and all the boys sat on the other. And I was in the back of the row because I was taller and bigger than everyone else. And I wasn't feeling good. And so I made an effort to, as I was feeling sicker and sicker, I knew that I was about to throw up. So I started turning my head all the way around. I tried turning around. And then the teacher, Mrs. Gordon, asked me what I was doing. So I fling myself back. And as I'm flinging back, I start vomiting on Patrick Baltas and George and Brian and Jared. I must have thrown up on 6 people that day. That's 9. By the time I was 10, I threw up on 9 people. Now flash forward. I'm 18. I'm in high school. It's the first time I'm drinking. We're out at an after party for a show that we were doing. And I got into the liquor cabinet of the family, and I started drinking, and I was so drunk that they had to sneak me out, and they put me in the back of a 2-door Cougar with my friend Billy. And in the front was seated Jenna, who was the homecoming queen. So as we're driving home, I asked Mike, who's driving, to roll down the windows, and he can't, and neither can Jenna, because in a Cougar, the windows are in the middle. So I threw up on the mirror and on the window and everything, and including Jenna. And 30 years later, she still won't talk to me. Now, the most recent effort was coming back from LA. This was about 5 years ago. I wasn't feeling well because I made the mistake of having Wendy's before I got on the plane. Terrible mistake. Don't ever do it. It's the worst. So we're on the plane, and I'm okay until about the end, and we're about to land, and we start ascending and descending because the pilot can't land us because of whatever reason. And because of the ascension and descension, I started getting sicker and sicker until I had to take out one of the vomit bags, and I threw up in the vomit bag, and my girlfriend's sitting next to me, and I'm like, I need another bag, and she can't find hers, so we have to ask the person next to us if they'll give us their bag, and they do, and I vomit in that bag, and as we land, I'm holding 2 bags of vomit as I'm landing on the plane, and I'm just waiting to get up, and I asked Margot to unhinge my seatbelt when the plane lands, and I immediately get up and walk through first class, and someone touches my shoulder, and I see a family. They're so happy, just sitting there smiling, and I see them, and then a steward gets my attention, and I turn, and the bags hit the seats, and they fall on the family. that happy family that was probably visiting New York for the first time. So those are my stories of vomiting on people. That was 15 people I vomited on, give or take 5. Stay tuned next week on In the Frick of the Night, when I'll tell you another story that you may hate. Thank you. Hey, everybody out there. Thanks for checking out Welcome Back to America. Once again, I am still D.B. Frick. Today, whenever you're watching this, we have a superstar in the writing world of comedy. This is someone who wrote many episodes, produced many episodes, was story editor for many episodes of Friends, and ushered in shows like Veronica's Closet and Trial and Error, which was recently on television, and now is working on a show called Shining Vale, which really sounds really cool. About a family moves into a town, dysfunctional family moves into a cursed house. They'll talk about it a little. And so, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have Jeff Astrof. Jeff, come on down to Welcome Back to America. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for being here.
Fantastic, by the way. The coffee is one of the best Zoom waiting room coffees I've had.
I'm glad that coffee was able to make it there in time, because I had that droned in. So that's fantastic.
Yes, beautiful. A little bit tepid because of the drone, but worth it. Worth it.
Wow. Okay, you're complaining about the coffee. That's great. You're out.
I complain, therefore I am.
You're out in LA right now. I'm assuming. Yes. You've been out there for a while. You are originally a New Yorker. You're from Long Island, I believe.
I am from Long Island. Yes. I live here long enough to make the G in Long Island. Well, there it goes. All right. So Long Island.
It's catchy like yawns. It's catchy.
Babylon line, Long Island. I could say the Babylon line, start to finish. Yes, I'm from Long Island. I moved out here now. I've lived here over half of my life now. I moved out here in 1991, which seems like it should be 10 years ago, and then maybe 20 years ago, but apparently that's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So I know that's very crazy when I'm meeting writers now and they're like, I'm kind of old. I'm born in 1994. I'm like, what? This hat was born in 93. So
yeah, and you're about to start meeting writers that were born after 2000.
Oh yeah, my writer's assistant. My new assistant, in fact, was probably very, very close to that, was Y2K. Like, she almost didn't happen because of Y2K. Nobody here remembers Y2K, but...
right, yeah, very few people do. But it's something that did happen. It is part of our history. And
Yes.
part of your history is what was it that made you understand that you were funny, or pushed you in the direction of wanting to work in comedy writing?
So I think those are two different questions. I think I knew I was funny because I had like most comedy writers, it was either that or become like a serial killer, just because you have, just, a little bit of a broken home. And my sister is also a comedy writer, and people say, wow, that must have been a funny house. And I was like, no, it was not a funny house. Like, people who grow up in funny houses typically, for the most part, don't grow up to be comedy writers. So, it's like anything else. I think it's a defense mechanism. I think it's also could be, my son has it too, and he comes from a very lovely home. He gets his anxiety purely from nature, and a little bit of nurture from me. But so it's not the marriage that gets it. So it's a genetic thing. But I always did comedy. I was on Wall Street. I won a competition called Funniest Man on Wall Street, which, granted, not a high bar. But
was that stand up? Were you doing
stand up? I did stand up comedy with my former writing partner. And but I went to school. I went to undergraduate at Wharton to become an investment banker, and I did that. And I was definitely the funniest investment banker, but that's not such a commodity when you can't do any computer models. So I didn't even know there was such a thing as like writing for a living. I was just gonna be a funny investment banker, and it's very funny because I auditioned for Saturday Night Live. I sent in a VHS back before Y2K, and and they chose that year. They picked up Chris Rock, so they went a different way. But boy, did they make a mistake!
Right. Yeah. No. Clearly.
Chris Rock's show. Chris Rock does not have Everyone Hates Chris on the air, whereas I have a show on the air, so I think I won.
Right. And a good win. Definitely. Good way to look at it.
It's a great way to look at it. It's one of the many, many comparisons between me and Chris Rock that you'll hear if this interview goes long.
We should tweet that at Chris Rock right now. It would start some media.
I don't think he wants to go back there either because I think he kind of felt the pressure.
Right.
He knew whose spot he was taking.
I would get that. I feel that too. Do you remember the first thing that you sold? The first thing, the moment that you were like, I'm a comedy writer now.
So I'll tell you exactly. So I moved out. I was an investment banker, and I moved out to LA with the full support of my parents, who said, "You'll be back in 2 weeks." A complete failure. So I had that going for me, and I had really at $1,500 to my name, and I spent $1,700 of it the first day. Including a car that cost $100 that was not worth it, and that had no brakes. It had a handbrake. So that was my life here. I delivered sandwiches. They called me the sandwich girl for whatever reason, and I owned a suit, and like that was it. I had like 2 suits, and I delivered sandwiches, and that's what I did for like 10 months. And then I was in something called the Warner Brothers Writers Development Program, which I think still exists.
Yes, it does.
And we were asked, because I was a wise ass there with these 2 guys who were, they had different executive producers come in. I think I'd subsequently done it. And they kind of train you how to write using the Sherwood Schwartz model of the 2-act structure, and character gets into a tree at the act break, and then then there's a second act complication, and bring them down from the tree. And I was just like a total a-hole in there. And then afterwards, they're like, "What's your deal?" And we were just talking, and and they said, "Listen, we're punching up a pilot called Hanging with Mr. Cooper, and do you want to do that?" I was like, "I smell like egg salad because that's my job. I deliver. Of course, I want to do that." And we got into the writers' room there, and I remember driving onto the Warner Brothers lot, and you see the water tower, and it's just like, oh my God, like I'm here, I've arrived, and we get into this conference room, and they hand out the scripts, and I've never seen like a real script before. It's a script of pilot, and everyone's going around the table and like, "What do you think of the script?" And everyone's like, "You've done it again." It was Jeff Franklin who created it,
Right.
and it was like, "You've done it again, Mr. Franklin. Another guaranteed hit. Ah, brilliant!" And they came to me. I was like, I gotta be honest, I don't see it. I was like, it's not so funny to me. I don't really see the difference in the characters. I don't know what you're going for here. I think it needs a lot of work. And so I'm some a-hole who is like, I have a fanny pack full of change because I got paid in change. So like every time I got up, I jingled. Like I was losing money on this because I had to pay for my sandwiches because I didn't want to lose my route. And they're like, "Interesting. And what do you think?" So then I just pitched like a bunch of jokes, and I got like 9 jokes in. And that night, like the guys who had me said, first of all, the guys who invited me said, "I'm going to teach you something. You never ever tell a guy who's been working on a pilot for 6 months that the script is not funny or it doesn't make sense or there's no character here." And said, like, "You are not in that position." I said, "But that was true." And they said, "Of course it's true, but you're just there to like pitch a couple of jokes." And said, "Fortunately, you got in a lot of great jokes, so they're going to have you back." And that was kind of my MO for the greater part of the first part of my career, was just to contribute more than I was being an a-hole. And like I always had that balance, and I was a big a-hole in the room, so I had to contribute that much more. And that was kind of my my mode for a long time before I became a showrunner, and then I'm realizing like, oh, those guys are really annoying. Like, but then the end of that story is that it was great. It was a great week, and then like 2 weeks later, I got a check, and I was like, "What's this for?" And it's like, "You got paid for that," and I couldn't believe it. and I couldn't. And I still work at Warner Brothers now. I have an office underneath the tower, and I try to go in and look at the tower with the same amount of like reverence and like sparkle that I did 30 years ago, just to kind of remember that what I do is cool, even though it is grueling, and I wouldn't wish it upon anyone.
It's sort of like church. It's very similar to a church. I've been on that lot in the past, and it's the history there is kind of, there's so much history there.
Oh yeah,
It's crazy. Now, one of my favorite people that you've worked with, and I won't spend too much time on this, but you worked on Shit My Dad Says,
yes.
which was out a few years ago, and I actually used to sit in the audience of that here and
Really?
there. That was a fun one to sit in the audience of. Yeah.
That was It was better to sit in the audience than to be on stage. I'll tell you that much.
Why is that?
Well, is one of your favorite people? It's either Will Sasso or Mr. Bill Shatner.
Well, I love Will Shatner. Will Sasso's funny too, who I also believe is a Long Islander. I think he's also from Long Island.
Probably he's
Yeah.
built like one. He's Will Sasso is extremely funny.
Yeah.
William Shatner. It was an incredible experience. Just because you are working with a guy who still feels like he's captain of the USS Enterprise. Like he's just like, that's how he carries himself. He never read a script, and the table reads were fantastic because he'd be reading for the first time, and the guy who created the show, Max Muchnick, used to say he felt like he was a guest on the Mike Douglas show there, and he'd be like reading in real time, and he'd laugh and be like, "Who did that joke?" I point to me and goes, "It was the Jewish fellow, wasn't it?" I was like, "Yes, Bill." We can keep going, and it's like, and he would just start like vamping like while he was up there, and it's like, that's not what this is. But if you put this guy in front of an audience, he just loves it. And then he would be, so the guy was at the time 82 years old, and like I can imagine putting my dad with a script on stage and wouldn't be great. And that was what it was like with him, is like, so the first day, like we would have or 2 days later we have a run through, and he would just be kind of like, he wouldn't have a script, and you always have a script like the beginning, and he would just go off and just like kind of say his mind and kind of, and I remember Wendy Trilling, who's the CBS exec, is there. I'm doing a lot of space work here, and looking at the script, like trying to find his lines. I just said to her, "It's not in there." And so they put it down, like, and he would just, whatever kind of the mood took him. And we had a talk with him afterwards, said, "Bill, it's great that you're off book, but you're not saying a single line." And he said, "Well, I think it's disrespectful that people come to a show and they see the actor with the script." And I was like, "I think it's disrespectful when the writers write stuff that we don't hear a single word of." But he was like in his mind, everything was a performance in theater, and it was absurd. The whole thing was really absurd. But
what I remember sitting through it is, my favorite thing was watching sort of theater in action, where things would be rewritten as the scenes were being done. I remember the writers going to the side and watching them and just being like really, and rewriting the whole thing and going back to shooting again. And that was happening. I think that was happening a lot there. I don't know if that's normal.
It happened. It does happen a lot. I hate it. I have to tell you, it's one of the reasons I don't do multicams anymore. And also one of the reasons that I really strove to create my own show, so that I got to be the guy who decided, because it is just gut-wrenching to sit there. It's like a feeding frenzy, like trying to get a joke in, and this joke that you worked on all week is replaced by a shit joke, like immediately, because the audience is like, "Oh my God, they said a dirty word." But with that show specifically, because Bill wasn't really ever on script, and because he also like he saw it as like a choose your own adventure, I think, like being, even though typically it's not that. And so like he would say to the audience, if you were there, he'd be like, "The writers like this joke, I pitched this joke, let's see which one works." And it's like, woo, and we're just like, oh my God. And it was very funny. So he did a bit, and when the writers used to, as you saw, we'd all like congregate after he killed a scene because not having read it or rehearsed it, or just not interested in it, whatever. It wasn't malicious. He was just, it was an 82-year-old guy who was trying something.
Right.
At the expense of all of our careers. And so he would take the microphone and go to the audience. He goes, the writers are talking. I wonder what they're talking about. And he would put the mic into the scrum. And then David Cohan would dutifully say, he was one of the showrunners, say, I don't know. I think we should write around Bill for this. He's not getting it. And Bill would feign oh, I can't believe they're talking about it every single time. And it was such a pain in the ass because he's doing a bit and we're trying to find something that will make this night get over faster or just like do our job. So one time I wanted to say, when the microphone came down, like, let's see what they're talking about. I wanted to say, look, clearly he killed his wife. He could have called 911. He didn't. She was at the bottom of the pool. And that would have ended it. But I did not do that because
I'm so glad you didn't do that. Even not being
you have a great story to tell.
Oh God!
But anyway,
Someone's done it. Someone said it to him.
Someone
has. Have you seen some of the stuff they've done to OJ? OJ's been in so many videos of him being brutalized in public. People like faking stabbings and such. It's like.
Why? What did he ever do wrong?
Right.
Wow.
Right. We're on the same page.
He doesn't deserve that.
I'm glad you're also a smart person.
Finally, look, I watched the trial. I know he didn't do anything wrong. It's all those contemporary references. Y2K, OJ, William Shatner. This is good. This is like I'm in the warm water here. But Bill was very, very funny. People love talking about that. I had a manager after that. Like I decided to get a manager and they said their main job was going to be to get that expunged off my IMDb page.
Oh man, that's too bad. Oh, okay, that's too bad. I would love to have my name associated with him in any capacity, even if it was terrible.
You know what? I have great stories, and looking back, it was, I worked with William Shatner, and that's really great. By the way, really good guy, like good. I mean, I have stories that I'm not. We only have a certain amount of time, but I can take all of that time. Every time, by the way, I'm on like a radio show or something, we talk about him, and that's the entire show.
Yeah, no, and what I really want to talk about now is what you have coming up soon. You have a show, and you're actually wearing the sweatshirt right now, Shining Veil.
I'm really a media whore for this, and not only that, I'm drinking from one of the mugs. And
that's great. You should make that more obvious when you're drinking out of it. Like, right.
Greg Kinnear on it. It's TV's Greg Kinnear, soon to be TV's Greg Kinnear.
That's one of the things about this show is the cast is crazy.
So the cast is crazy. So the show is called Shining Veil, and I was doing another show, and really do you have dogs?
I have had dogs over the years, yes.
Okay. Do you have like a dog that puts a lump in your throat every time you mention the dog? It's like the dog that's the password to all your alarms and stuff like that. Like everybody has that one dog.
Sure.
So I had that one dog. It's Tahoe. If you ever want to like get any of my passwords or anything, it's Tahoe. Now you know. He's the one dog that like, oh God. Rest in peace, Tahoe. Rest in my closet with 6 other dogs I have. It's a terrible situation. A lot of ashes.
What kind of dog was Tahoe?
Tahoe was a Ridgeback pit bull mix, and he had Lou Gehrig's dog's disease, what I call it. And it was terrible situation. I'm not gonna. I'll cry. So that was my show, Trial and Error, for me. I created that show, and it was the first show I got on the air, and it was really my voice, and it only lasted 2 years, but Warner Brothers wanted me, while I was still shooting the second season, they wanted me to come up with another show because they're like, no one does only 10 episodes of TV. Now it's like, whoa, 10 episodes of TV. That's like, that's like the old days. I did 26 episodes of Friends. That's what 13 episodes is the new 26. So I was like, I don't have a fresh. When you're doing a show, especially for when I do a show, I don't know people who have like multiple shows on the air. I can't. It's hard for me to do that, and I hope my friends at Warner Brothers won't see this, but I put everything I have into it, and wardrobe included. I eat, sleep, and drink the show like 24 hours a day. I go to sleep with it, dream about it, wake up with it, and I'm all in. And so they were like, well, we want you to come with new ideas. I was like, I don't have any new ideas. I'm doing this show. And they said, so I met with Aaron Kaplan, who's a big producer, and he said, I'm doing a show with Sharon Horgan. And I'm like, okay, I'm interested. And she said she wants to do The Shining, but as a comedy. I was like, yes, 100%. Because I wanted to do genre bending stuff, only like genre bending stuff. Because I've been doing like, sitcoms for 27 years or something. And it just like, the joke pattern is just like the the ridges in my brain are just so worn, like it's an old recording and it's not fun anymore. So I wanted to do something outside that
I think
box.
audiences can feel that too, watching sitcoms, and that's why they're not as popular as they used to be.
Oh, that's an understatement. They're just not. It's just not, I can't do it. I can't. I don't even watch any comedy now. So I spoke to Sharon about it, and Sharon Horgan said, I want to do a. She said I always watch. Whenever I see a horror that's scary and tries to be funny, it's not funny, or if it's funny, it's not scary. She said, I wonder if we could do a sitcom that would make you shit your pants. I want to do like a shitcom. She said, do you think that's possible? And I thought for like a nanosecond. I was like, yes. And the reason I know it is because whenever you're in a horror movie, I'm not a huge horror fan, but after you scream, you laugh. And I was like, it's the same thing. I said like the scream is like the finger to the prostate. She didn't. That's where I lost her. Like to get that extra laugh. I was like, if we could make people scream and then laugh, I was like, I'm interested. That's like a whole new level of like screaming and laughing is like I have never seen it. So I got off the phone with her and then I wrote a scene which wound up being the last scene of the pilot, just to show that you can do both, and it worked out. It was very weird to write to this scene because I was like, here's what I'm picturing. And she was like, I want to create, can we do it? Do you think you could create a new genre? And I was like, yeah, I'll try it. And in the beginning, it was just like my second job because I was doing trial and error. The trial and error got canceled, and then I kind of
Truman Capote of comedy.
That's what. It's not the only comparison. Me, Truman Capote, Jeff Astrof, and Chris Rock.
Yeah,
it's the Mount Rushmore of something. So I started writing this, and the real thing that I loved about it was that Sharon made the observation, not observation, I guess, a research that, and this is the basis of the show, is that women are more than twice as likely as men to be depressed and also possessed, and the symptoms are exactly the same. And I was like, oh my God, I'm on board with this. So it's like and I am very, very lucky to come from a long line of maternal mental illness. So it's like, this is beautiful. I could write this. So, and then the casting process. So we wrote it, we sold it to Showtime. Showtime wanted Sharon Horgan to star in it. Sharon wasn't going to. So then Showtime said, we're not going to do it. And then, so we then sold it to Stars, and then we had to cast it. And then we were like, okay. And then it's just like everything else. You feel good for a second in this business. Like there's only like 3 really good phone calls you get in this business. Like one, like they're making your pilot, they're picking it up, and then it gets a second season. That's as far as I've gotten. Like that's it. I've never gotten the 3rd season call. And then after that, everything else is terrible. There's not even neutral. Everything else is terrible. So I'm like, okay, you know what? We can cast this thing. It's a great script. People love the script. They always love my scripts until the one guy who doesn't, then it's over. But people love this script, and Sharon's name was on it. I wrote it, but Sharon's name was on it, and Sharon had a lot of cred. And then it was just pass after pass after. Like we're gonna go, because you always start with like, we're gonna go really, really the top people out there, and and offer only people, and then pass, and then pass, and then pass, and then you just start collecting passes, and then it's like, it's not very difficult for a writer to doubt him or herself. It's the next option, like other than after you get out of bed, you're like, ugh. So I was like, and it started to get, and then Aaron Kaplan, who's the producer, said like, we got to get someone on this because they're starting to lose faith in it. And like it'd be the first couple. It's like, of course you're not going to, whatever. Kristen Bell is not going to do. I asked Julia Louis-Dreyfus to do it because I worked with her before, and they're like, Julia's not going. Julia's like, I love it, but I'm just finishing up Veep. She just had like, it was. She's like, I can't jump into something else right now. And
whenever I see Courteney Cox, I can see they fit similar.
But it wasn't even that. It was like, I want Julia just because Julia could do anything. But yeah. Julia was like older, and Courteney was older than the character. The original character was like 40 or something. So then, and the only reason Courteney wasn't on my radar for this was because she had done Scream, and I couldn't see her. I saw her as that in terms of horror, because there's a lot of horror in it. I saw that in terms of like, okay, it's kind of campy. Scream is kind of campy. Great franchise. Obviously, they're making the 15th one, I think, or they just did. I always liked Courteney. I didn't have so much a relationship with her on Friends, but I liked her. I just never saw her do anything that says this is her. And
Right.
then she calls me up. We weren't even out to her. She calls me up. She goes, Jeff, it's Courtney. I'm like, Courtney who? She goes, Cox. I was like, how would you expect me to know it's Courtney Cox? The last time we spoke, there weren't even cell phones. Like, how could you say Courtney? And she said, sorry, we're doing a Friends reunion now, so I'm thinking about Friends. Anyway, I read Shining Vale. You wrote that for me. I want to do it. I was like, wow, that's a lot of information. She said, I've never had anything written for me before, and this was written for me. And I was like, wow, it really, you're like the sixth person. Like, and then I was like, you really think you can do it? She goes, this was written for me. I want to do this. And then I was like, okay, let me take that back to the team. And, there was some apprehension just because of the whole Scream thing. And we wanted to make sure it wasn't Scream. But like, everyone's like, if you can get Courtney Cox to do your show, that's like, it's just a gimme. It's just a home run. I had never seen her do anything like this. And she told me, she said like, Jeff, I'm telling you this, like, I've never been written for before. And I have to tell you, Dan, that she is so phenomenal in this that like I can't imagine anyone else doing this. She brings so much. She's so grounded. She's obviously very, very funny. She brings like the horror and the mother on the verge of a nervous breakdown, because it's all like she has a teenage daughter. And really, I went to meet her and I saw her with a teenage daughter. I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I want to write this. And I don't think I had to change. I think maybe in the pilot, I maybe had to change one or two lines the way she would say something. And that was it. And it was just like, oh my God, she's right. This was written for her. And then shortly after that, we cast Greg Kinnear. And then I was like, wow, this is like really a thing. And then Mira Sorvino called me. And I was like, this is just like really weird that this is happening. And Mira Sorvino's character has one line in the pilot. One line in the pilot. She's like, I want to do this. I'm like, don't you have an Oscar? She's like, I want to do this. I was like, it's one line. And I was like, and I know Mira Sorvino, of course, because her father was at my breast. So, which is true. My father famously told two people who were in the banking world not to move out to Hollywood. One was Paul Sorvino, one was me. So Mira is the Venn diagram of that. Of that.
You should give me. I would love his number just to give me some advice. I wanted some advice from your dad.
He's still kicking. He will still tell you not to do it. And then it just like came out, and it's just like and it was really, really great because I didn't, these actors are so, because again, it's like I said, like it's different. It really broke me in terms of writing it, in terms of how to get out of every habit, because I'm like a joke writer, and this is
Right.
all like. And Sharon, I would show Sharon a draft. She's like, "You really gonna do that shitty sitcom joke?" She's like, "You really gonna do a callback?" I was like, "My house was built on callbacks."
Right.
And in fact, not only that, I'm gonna use that as a joke later in our conversation to prove it. And she's like, "No callbacks, no like." So every sitcom joke is like gone, and it really like got me to a place where it's all like character stuff. And Greg Kinnear asked me, "Is like, so do we know like that it's funny?" He's like, I was like, "No, you are." Characters in a very, very troubled relationship. The marriage is very, it's a dysfunctional marriage. It was like Pat had an affair, Courtney had an affair, and then Terry, the husband, wants to salvage the marriage, so he sells everything they have, and they move to this giant house in Connecticut. This old house in Connecticut that for some reason is $300,000 below asking, and they move in and they sell everything to do it. And the first night, Pat sees somebody hovering outside a window, and
Okay.
nobody else sees this person. So it starts conflict, and it's just like it's really really fun.
When is it coming out? When are we going to be able to see it?
So Starz just announced that it's going to be premiering March 6th after they have a show called Outlander, I guess, which is fairly popular.
Yeah.
So they paired it with that, and
That's an amazing thing to go after. They're talking about one of the most popular shows on television. You're going on right after.
I understand that. I, of course, just because
You.
I'm somebody who immediately goes nuclear on everything. They were like, "Listen, we're premiering you in March." I'm like, "Then I'm out." Like, don't you want to hear why? Like, my initial thing is, then I'm out. I go nuclear and everything. It's like, no, it's a good thing. It's like, okay, I'm in. But I immediately get defensive and assume, just because I've been doing this long enough, that any news is bad news. So
Fair enough. We're on the same page there.
Yes.
What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
So Thanksgiving, I'm having a traditional Thanksgiving. I'm going on a concentration camp tour with my son in Poland.
Is that
Like
true?
like our ancestors used to. So I guess it's a different type of thing. Yeah, his school is going to Poland, and like since
Wow.
people get off Thanksgiving, yes, it's. I hope it will bring the comedy back home to me because I think that that's a place that I'll kind of realize that my problems dealing with the Studio Network are probably not the worst things that we've ever gone through. But yeah, I don't want to say I'm looking forward to it. That's a weird thing to say. But I feel like it's a good bonding experience with my son. And I don't know if have you been to Poland?
I have taken a train through Poland. I did a little bit of Western.
So did my great grandparents.
I lived in England twice, so I traveled through Western and Eastern Europe a little bit.
Right.
Way back. So that was way back though. Jeff, we could actually talk for hours. Obviously, there's so much.
But since you brought up the Holocaust, we're going to stop it right here.
Right. Right.
I think listen to what we covered today, though. We covered William Shatner, Chris Rock, Truman Capote, My New Show, Courteney Cox, Kinnear, Amir Sorvino, and the Holocaust. I assume this is a sweeps episode.
If this doesn't get me a late night spot, nothing will. This
is your big. This is it. This is your reel right now, all in one.
I appreciate you talking to me today. It's been a great conversation. You're a lot of fun, and I do wish you the best with the show. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I can't wait to see it.
Exciting. I will tell you this, that I've been doing this a long time. It's a very cool show, and it's only because of the casting. The cast is like everyone in the cast says it's the most fun they've ever had, and it really shows. It's really, really special. It's really, it's cool. It's very scary. It's not for kids at all. I won't let my kids watch it, even though they're teens, and my son's about to see the Holocaust. I still won't let him watch this.
Okay.
So not for young kids. There's genuine scares in there. There's genuine. I think Courtney's character, who may be either possessed or depressed, says the F word more than The Wire. So,
okay.
Enjoy.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
Look forward to checking it out. Thank you, Jeff, for coming down today.
DB, thank you. Good. Best of luck to you too, and happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Everybody, thanks for checking out Welcome Back to America Tonight. We'll be back right after this, or not. We'll see. Thanks.